This podcast is a production of the KendallCast Podcast Network. You can support the show for just $2 a month at patreon.com/KendallCast or make a direct donation through the PayPal link at kendallcast.ninja. Every little bit helps. Corran on the Horn. Welcome to Corran on the Horn. So, at long last, we're interviewing the one and only Anthony Batmouse Howard. So I'm going to start you with the way that I do my real fancy interviews, and I'm going to ask you what you had for breakfast.
Oh, it's early enough on the West Coast that I actually haven't had breakfast. I guess I had leftover homemade chicken tenders and French fries
That sounds like
is what I had for breakfast.
breakfast. That sounds like
Yeah,
breakfast.
I mean, if I put a waffle around it, and then I had chicken and waffle for breakfast.
Well, at least you ate something. Yeah, the number of people that I ask that question to and they just don't eat breakfast is a thing. So
Yeah, I mean, you feel like breakfast is like a very important meal, but like I don't know, sometimes everybody's just moving too fast to eat breakfast, I guess.
I go back and forth on it throughout my life, but for the last probably better part of 10 years I've been the kind of person that has to eat breakfast, and especially if it's a work day, because like I can't have a mid-morning snack when I want one, or I can't eat lunch until a certain time. So yeah, I end up I pretty much always have to have something for breakfast. Have you ever made donuts? I know you're a
I have made I, I have made donuts before. I have the little cake pan ring. I have I much prefer the non-cake donut.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've made donuts
So
before.
what I made yeah was cake donuts, because I've made donuts that you fry, but the problem is that frying adds like extra variables and everything, and so I made some cake apple cider donuts last night using cake mix. Like the recipe, it like used cake mix as an ingredient. Like which I thought was kind of clever, because it wasn't like an apple cider. Like it was like I added apple cider and an egg and butter and stuff. Like I followed the recipe, and then it said, and also use a box of cake mix. And yeah, I was like, that's really clever, because like probably cake mix is sugar and flour and whatever. Like they're probably all the same.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually like you do find out in a lot of like um professional bakeries that like they do cake mix as the base because it has everything already pre-mixed. And
Mm-hmm.
then it's just, figuring out what your add-ins and are you going to use pudding? Are you going to use yogurt, sour cream, whatever you're going to use to make it lighter and less dense.
Yeah.
You go from there.
Yeah, the problem with my donuts was they came out tasting like cake, but like they weren't as dense. It was it was lighter, but they anyway. But Star Wars cards.
Oh yeah, Star Wars cards. Yeah, yeah.
How'd you get into Star Wars cards?
Oh, I had collected essentially from when the game first came out because I played a lot of Star Trek. I played Star Trek like actively, and then there just wasn't uh a play group for Star Wars. So I'm like, oh, I'll if I win a tournament and I get a bunch of store credit, I'll just pick up a bunch of Star Wars packs, which I did quite a bit. Um, Nothing to like, oh, I have a great collection. It was just a pack here, a pack there. I love Star Wars. But Star Trek is where I made my card money. Uh, so the Star Trek allowed me um to fuel the Star Wars and the Lord of the Rings playing, and then eventually those games folded, um, and I was kind of in a hole of not playing cards for a long time, and I'm like, oh, I really love to play Star Wars. Um, so I started looking online, and then I found Holotable. Um, and that really like, oh, there's an active like group. Oh, maybe there's a group of people around me, and then there was, and that's how I ran into our intern, Matt Thornton,
Uh-huh.
um, and he was really like, so Matt and Ryan Jellison and Schoenthal and Kevin Shannon and Aaron Nelson and all the SoCal guys are kind of you know my introduction. So kind of rough when your local including your local meta is like a bunch of like you know world champions and stuff like
Uh-huh.
that.
Uh-huh.
Kind of shifts how you play a little bit. Um, but yeah, so I literally found it from there, and Star Trek saved me once again because Category One games and Lord of the Rings too. Category One game was great with their trade-in program. I traded in a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of that, and that's how I got my first like real bulk. Like, oh, these are the things that I need. The essential to actually play the game. Um, so yeah, so that's Star Trek made me play Star Wars. Um,
Cool. Cool.
it's,
So your probably your biggest claim to fame is that you are the sheriff of GEMP. What does that mean and how did you get that title?
um, so at the time, um, TBSD had been working on GEMP for a while, um, and I loved it. I loved the program. I loved that I could play that from my phone. I could play Jump from my phone. Again, coming over from Lord of the Rings Jump, um, and I could play it from my phone. So I could play 5, 10, 20 games a day. If I was fast enough, or bad enough, which is sometimes the same thing. Um, and then he was gonna go on holiday, and like I needed Gemp to survive. Like I needed the program to stay alive and for people to eventually get eyes onto it. And so I like, hey, give me the ability to um create leagues. Give me the ability to run tournaments on here. That way I can put things together. We can get people prizes and we can keep eyes on this. And he said, yeah, sure. That takes something off my plate. Um, and we'll go from there. And so we went from there. And then he went away for a while. So I was running um sealed Hoth tournaments and just trying to get people to continue to play the game, where I could play the game with them. Like, because obviously while I'm at work, or away from my home computer, I can't play on Holotable,
Mm-hmm.
which was
Mm-hmm.
the real limiting factor for Holotable for me because I love Holotable. People will tell you I was on there a ton, getting my teeth kicked in nearly every day. But that's okay because you learn from failure. Um, you yeah you might pick up a couple tidbits from winning, but you need to lose a lot um, to get better at this game because you will learn what not to do and what to do. Um, so lose a lot, people. That's very good for you.
Oh man,
But yeah, and then
I hate that that's I mean, it's kind of true, but it's also like it's rough. Like
it's it's discouraging for sure.
I
It's absolutely discouraging.
I just I don't know. Like I think it's there's a lose a lot mindset, but there's also like you have to like I've learned from games that I lost. Don't get me wrong. I've also learned from games that I won because I try a thing and it works and then I'm like, "Oh, if you do that then you will win." Or like I look at or I analyze a win and a loss and I look at what but it's just getting just getting your teeth kicked in over and over and over again. I also don't necessarily think is super productive and I just don't like the idea that like and maybe it's just a problem with Star Wars CCG, but like I remember I interviewed somebody for a project that I abandoned who was like a relatively new player and had probably played a dozen games total. And I said, "Well, what was
Hmm.
your biggest victory?" And he's like, "Well, I've never won a game." What was your favorite game that you won? "Oh, I've never won a game." And I was like, there's something wrong there. No, I mean
I'm
this was literally the guy had probably played a dozen games, so he would have gotten there. But yeah, I don't know. I don't like the get your
I
teeth kicked
I
in thing.
I like the get your teeth kicked in because hey, I lost this game by 30 cards. But then I tried something different, and now I only lost by 25,
Mm-hmm.
and now I only lost by 20 and 10. You're still losing. You're still getting your teeth kicked in, but you're making that modicum, that moderate um, increase in your play skill. That you're making those games closer. There's still
Yeah.
games that like I lose that like, oh, if I'd done this differently, this would have been a game that I won by 10 instead of a game that I lost by 15.
Uh huh. Uh huh. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And I mean, I think the key is because there are certain players have who have been putting in the time for many years and they just keep losing. And I think it's like it's not just that you have to lose, it's that when you lose you have to learn from those losses. And
mhm.
and like I said, I also definitely think that I learn from my wins. Like if I if I do something right in a game accidentally and then you know and then I play overly aggressive or I play I play more aggressive or I play less aggressive and I actually win, then that means that maybe I should try doing that same thing that I did where I accidentally won, you know. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
yeah. I don't know. It's just it's a and it's also like I remember reading an article um and I think I remember the player, but I'm not going to say the name. I'm not going to put him on blast, but it basically said, as a new player, you're going to lose a lot was like the first sentence. And I was like, well, you know what? Maybe I don't need to play Star Wars cards. And then I didn't play Star Wars cards for like 2 or 3 years. And then, and then came back to the game. So like, I just want to, but also for some people, you're right. If you have the right mindset and you're learning and you can see the progress, even if the progress isn't wins, or if it is like for me, it's like you have the point where you first start and you just lose almost all your games. And then you have a point where you can win most of your casual table games, but you don't win a lot of the open open August League games. And then you get to the
Mhm.
point where you do pretty well in the open August League games, but you don't do but you're still losing most of your OCS games, or you know just you're seeing those that progress. And you know but I just yeah, I want to push back on something. But anyway, back to your story. I one thing that like one big like, the thing that put you on the map was you did run the first GEMP tournament. Period. Do you remember that?
um, I do. I mean, I remember the very first. Yeah, I remember the first GEMP tournament, and then like okay, everybody, you have to be online to make this happen for this to work. Because the first one I did, I didn't do like, hey, everybody, give me your emails and I will email you. At least I don't think I did. Um, the first one I did was like, hey, at this time in the lobby, I will be here to run a tournament.
Mm,
So everyone that wants to participate, please be in the lobby and let me know. And I went from there. And that's how I feel like
yeah,
that worked.
I remember that because I participated in it in the first tournament. All I remember is that you and me and Heisenberg all played in it, and because
Yep.
we were all earlier adopters, and it was something like Premiere to Hoth.
Yep, it was Premier to Hoth. There were no weapons um, at the time, I don't think, and it was yeah,
That was something. That was something.
that was something for sure. And then and so with doing the tournaments and running the leagues and stuff like that, um, I started to notice, especially in the sealed leagues, people with alts and people with bad behavior. Like I started the first like bad behavior, like, hey, call these people out for bad behavior and rage quit.
The popcorn thread, yeah.
Yeah, and yes, absolutely the popcorn thread. Like, ooh, what did this guy do today? Um, and it really built from there. And then I was just like, all right, at this point, this is the Wild West, and I am just the sheriff of GEMP, trying to keep a little bit of law in this lawless era.
Yeah,
It
that
was a lawless time.
I remember when I came back to the game in 2019 reading that the rage quit call out thread,
Hmm.
and and I didn't realize it was Reed Smith, but it was definitely Reed Smith posted. There was a screenshot on there that I just remember, and it said like there was like a back and forth about being denied a revert or something,
Hmm.
and that's where he said from now on it will be good luck, have fun, no reverts.
No revert.
and
There you go.
and that's where I
And now
with
that's a
the
hat.
tongue firmly planted in the cheek, that is my sign off. I actually kind of didn't make the connection that it was Reed Smith, because I actually kind of always liked Reed Smith, just for the record.
Same.
Like especially in person. I think he was somebody that was maybe a little bit more abrasive online, but in person, I always got along pretty well with him. And he was always very very nice to me, in spite of being you know, I think he, especially when he played, I was a perpetual narp. I would kind of come in and out, and I was a scrub, and he was always very nice to me the couple of times that we played, and he would always say hello to me. He recognized me after being MIA for 5 years. He was one of the people that
Oh,
recognized me at nationals in 2019. So I don't want to. I always kind of feel bad. This is why I don't. This is why, like, when you and I did that one episode of 0-2 with Corran and Batmouse, where we kind of were being comedic.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we started to write the next episode, and then I just felt like I was being mean to people. So
Yeah, I really do. And that's the thing, like this community is so great, that like it's kind of hard. And even like okay, so the puppet, when we did the puppet thing, the puppet
yeah,
Chris Kelly
yeah,
thing, I reached out to Chris Kelly before, and I'm like, hey, I'm I made sure to reach out, that like, hey, I'm gonna like take some shots at your puppet.
yeah, yeah,
But I love you, dude. You're a good dude.
yeah.
Um and like having to do that all the time, I
uh
think I'm glad we kind of stopped doing, like,
Yeah, yeah,
we'll
yeah.
make little like comments here, but we're not, everything is in jest, and
Mhm,
everything, and
mhm.
everyone should know that. I'm the kind of person that, like, hey, I made a couple jokes about you. I just wanted to reach out and let you know that they're coming your way.
Right, right,
And
right.
I didn't want to have to do that on like an every week basis,
Yeah.
when we write that show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, because yeah, and I mean, Chris Kelly is a unique person in the community, in that he puts himself out there to be the target and to take the blame for things and everything, and
Mm-hmm.
he gives as good as he gets. He's also kind of a cartoon character, which there's only a few of us in the community. I think you and I would be included in there that could be considered cartoon characters. I think maybe
Yeah.
maybe Scott could be a little bit of a cartoon character if you wanted to play it up.
All the Tappa talk, the Tappa talk
Yeah,
in
yeah.
recording.
Maybe Brian
That's fair.
Fred. Brian Fred's a cartoon character, but he's like a
I mean,
big friendly cartoon character.
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it's just yeah, when we were trying to write the second episode of that, I just remember in spite of the fact that like I wanted to do a Star Wars card daily show, or like a Colbert Report to to Dan's Hollow Theater, like it just felt yeah, it felt kind of mean writing jokes about people and being, just being, because you want it with comedy, you want to punch up, and this was more like punching
Right.
to the side, if not,
Yeah, yeah.
and punching, or maybe not punching down, because they are, the PC and the top players in the community and stuff are, are some people with some egos that could be, that could be taken down a peg, but to like really,
Yeah, to really
do it a
go
whole
at somebody.
bunch. Yeah, to
Yeah,
really
to
go into it
really go at somebody. Yeah.
just over and over and over again. It just, yeah, it wasn't. But you can be, yeah, you can be. There's other ways. There's other ways to be comedic. In the and I think that's where we've landed with stuff. So where were we? So let's
Uh
we're or yeah, but yeah, you did the so you've been pretty much in charge of GEMP leagues and things. But we did just have nationals, and the thing that finally got us around to got me around to doing this interview with you, is we both were at nationals in Columbus. Um, I I mean, you had mentioned the idea of doing a tournament report, and I don't know, tournament reports kind of bore me, but so I don't want to. I mean, I did okay. I played court and a rescue the princess, and didn't do great in the main event, but I did pretty well in the side event. I was actually, we were talking earlier about uh, learning from losses. Um,
mhm.
my losses were close enough that I was able to, and I was winning enough, and I was playing against good enough players without being overly intimidated, that I was able to hear some of the feedback in the early games in the weekend, and I kind of
Mhm.
changed my strategy. I also had a conversation with Taco Bill on Friday night that where he gave me some tips on playing Rescue the Princess uh,
Yes.
while he was half drunk, and and he just, it was just one of those things where he just had all the answers. Like I feel like sometimes I play decks and I ask people questions and maybe they give me the, but it's like for preparing for Rescue the Princess, like I had a couple people that really actually knew things. I guess that's the advantage of playing a deck from the previous meta, is that a lot of people
Yeah.
had played it a lot already. So yeah, so
Yeah.
how did yeah, so tell me about your nationals experience.
Um so my nationals experience was great. I loved seeing everybody. Shout out to our buddy Crazy Carl. Um and he did a great job of taking care of everybody and making sure things went great. Very good job, Mother Goose. Um, you know, I was not. I will say that I was not prepped for nationals. Like I didn't do a lot of prep. Things had gotten crazy at work. Life had gotten crazy. Um, and it, you know, I and it basically like if I hadn't already had my flight booked, I probably wouldn't have come. Um, but flights were booked and paid for already. So like, all right, I'm gonna go. I'll make it happen. Um, you know, the new set dropping like 3 weeks before and like only having like a couple of weeks on GEMP
Yeah.
was rough. So rough. I mean, if I'm on playtesting, so I could play it. But I didn't want to take advantage of that and like, get into a spot where I'm only playing other playtest people.
Mhm.
So I didn't want to take advantage of that. Um, so like if we, for the next one, if we do like have a set come out, like let's give it a couple, or even just get it onto Jump like a couple weeks earlier.
Mm.
Like just open up the back end of the playtesting portion to people to be able to play it out in the open. Um, would have really helped because, like I said, I do most of my testing out in the open. Um, you will see me play bad decks all of the time, and then sometimes they work, and I like that. Um, so my tournament prep was basically like, hey, Matt Thornton, can you uh, I'm gonna send you a couple of lists. Do you have these cards for like building? And he put decks together for me, and that's what I played basically over the weekend. Aside from like, I put together the first order deck and I threw tractor beams in it because tractor beams are fun. Um, for me, maybe not for other people, but they're very fun for me. Um, and yeah, and then away I went. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
so
with the set release, I mean there are times where the set gets released pretty close to majors. I think a lot of times that's kind of by design because they want,
mm,
they want people to be scrambling a little bit. But this
mhm,
one, it was like not only was there a set released right before the major, it was a pretty big set with a big light side deck and a big dark side deck that people actually built. Like
yeah,
it was a I think if this had been a different major, like if this had been like a the Ohio Open or something, like
hmm
as opposed to it actually being nationals, I think there's a good chance that people wouldn't have put the deck together as many people wouldn't have put the mind what you've learned and the first order decks together, and then we just wouldn't have to worry
hmm
about them. Um, that worked out well for me because Rescue the Princess has a very good matchup against the first order deck.
Yes,
it's
yes, it does.
it's insane. It's insane. Like I beat several players who are much better than me in that matchup because it's
I
like
mean, it's a good race deck.
they only
You get
have
into a race.
yeah, it wins the race. The only person that they have that's like a decent fighter is Kylo Ren, and Kylo Ren hangs out on crate. So like to come to the Death Star, they've got like Captain Phasma and some troopers, and
Hmm
that's it. Like maybe they can make one site difficult for you, so you just move away. Like
Yeah.
it's wild. It's wild how far ahead that is. And then honestly, Court is. I only played against Mind What You've Learned once over the course of the weekend, but Court has a pretty good matchup on against Mind What You've Learned as well. Just because again, it's similar. It's the similar issue of Mind What You've Learned just doesn't have that many big scary fighter dudes, and Court can just keep coming at you.
Piling keep piling the recursion is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm normally I have a couple decks. Like the deck that I played Friday night, I played WTF Sigma, which
Uh-huh.
is my droid recursion deck. I, that eats Mind What You Have Learned and Rescue the Princess.
Mm.
Um, because like, oh, my guys don't take battle damage at Death Star sites. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's all just droid gun, first strike, boom, again, and my guys just keep coming back and forth. And so I probably should have stuck with that on day two, but I really wanted to play the beans, and I wound up going 5-3. Um, you know, I dropped a game to AJ, and then I got to take a nap because I got the buy. Uh, so flying across the country to get to take a nap, very highly recommend it. And then I kind of scrubbed my way back to I scrubbed my way back to a win and in that I didn't finish the game. I should have just played through. You get into those conversations where it's like, oh yeah, they were pretty much wrapped up, da 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 da, and then
Mm-hmm.
you kind of take your foot off the gas. And I suffered from I took my foot off the gas, and there was a miracle play
Mm-hmm.
from my opponent, and he was able to get the win.
That's
Where I should have
yeah,
just kept my foot on the gas.
yeah. That's where like there's some. That's where you see those good players. I mean, 8 games into the day, they feel like maybe the game's wrapped up, but then they make you earn it, and
Hmm
that's something because everybody gets if you play enough games, you get random wins against top players, but yeah, it's wild how like you play against like a Greg Shaw or a Joe Olson or somebody and they just like they play it to the last card. or if not to the last card, like they play it until
They keep their foot on the gas
yeah, they
all the way through.
until literally mathematically impossible for them to win. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a really that's always a really interesting experience. And again, that's where you learn from winning sometimes too, because
Yeah,
you see, oh well, this line of play worked against a top player, and maybe it was a good matchup for me, maybe they didn't draw the cards they needed, but sometimes they're not going to draw the cards they needed, and you have to play to your outs. So
yeah, yeah. I always say, when I put a bad card in a deck, which I've been known to do a few times. Um, well, there's a card that counters that. There's a card that beats that. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. They should have that card. Otherwise, the thing could win.
right.
Um, and so I I always tell all the killer bees, is make them have the answer. You can't be afraid of like one card. It's one of 60. And what happens if they top deck it and now, you have a strategy that because they top deck that one card, you get to run rampant the rest of the game.
Right.
Like you never know.
Well, and it goes beyond just one card. The number of times that I've said, like, well, why isn't anybody playing this deck? Why isn't anybody playing RTP, or why isn't anybody playing
Mhm.
Vader Rots or whatever? And then Carl will be like, well, it loses to speeders, and I'm like, okay, well, I just won't play against speeders, you know, like if I go to a tournament and there's one auto loss, um, usually I lose a game anyway,
Yeah,
even without the auto
yeah.
loss, but if I can up the other matchups, like if I have one match, instead of going finding the deck that's 55-45 in my favor, if I have a deck
Hmm.
that's like 70-30 against 2/3 of the field and 30-70 against a third of the field, well, I need that. Honestly, I'm the kind of player that I needed. If 70-30 for most people is closer to 60-40 for me. So I need that extra little bit of edge in some of those matchups. Um,
Yeah. I fully understand. There's a lot of games that I will lose because like I run out of time. Like I've got something else going on in the background that like, okay, yeah, this was a net negative game for me. Um, like there's players online that have like space decks when I'm playing, my WTF Sigfa, or I'm playing a Bring Him. That my deck is not tooled to beat. I can beat them, but it takes a lot of like mental energy. My goal when building decks is I never want like an auto loss. Like,
mhm.
yeah, this is a and there's very few decks that are like, oh, this is a 99 to 1 that you could win this. Um, but if I can get that down to 90-10, I'll play or 10 in my favor,
Mhm.
90
Mhm.
for them. I'll take that 10% shot. I'm Batmouse. I will
Yeah.
Batmouse luck the hell out of it. I will figure it out. And I play just Agent of Chaos enough. Um, I used to be like pure Agent of Chaos. Um, but now I'll play like just Agent of Chaos enough that like, all right, you could make a slip up and I could get back into this. And then, now you're on the back foot and you've been feeling great the entire game. Um, so, there are games that is has very much happened for me where it's like, oh, yeah, I'll just play it out. I've already committed to playing this game for an hour at a time, at least, for the most part at least. Longer on GEMP because, the internet and everything. But if I'm giving that much time, I'm getting every ounce of enjoyment or punishment out of this as I can get. Like I will, oh, come on, Batman, just give up already. And then Batman will like find a way.
Yeah.
And that is the character in me.
Well, the interesting thing you talk about like auto losses, I always think back to this game in and I've probably brought this up on the podcast a million times before. I played against this European player who was I think he's a he's a big collector guy, but he's not like a known player, and I'm
Mhm.
blanking on his username, so I don't want to speculate. And also, like, I'm gonna describe him as not a very good player, so I don't want to call it. But it was like Worlds 2020, the online Worlds, and
Mhm.
I was 0-1, and I was playing 12 card throne room at the time, and he flips over a space deck. I think it was a Sikfa deck, and I was like,
Mhm.
oh man, I have no shot in this game. And then he proceeded to play pretty poorly for the whole game. And if I had played smart the whole game, because I kind of punted the first few turns until I realized that he was just kind of doing it was one of those things. I think it was one of those dark side decks that, like, sometimes there's dark side decks that just like don't do anything all game. And that, like,
Yes.
either they can't find the card they need, or they're expecting you to do something or whatever, and they just kind of sit there and don't do anything. Like when Walkers doesn't work, like they just sit there at like doing one ping damage a turn all game,
Mhm.
and then I just drain them for 2 all game and I win. You know,
Mhm.
so I think it might have been one of those things where it was like a Sikfa deck, but he wasn't draining as much. He had something to do. I think it might have been like a tie theme or something. I don't know. It was some weird theme, but anyway,
Like monkey ties.
yeah,
Yeah, but
it
not
was
but
something.
without the
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it was something like that. I don't remember exactly, but he did end up pulling out the game because I punted the first few turns, but uh, but it was very, very, very close. And
Yeah.
I think he also was playing slow, so he was
Mm.
gonna run. I think there was a chance of him running out of time. It was just like if I'd have played that whole game really smart, then I would have won. And then a couple years later, at Nationals, I think 2023, I had a similar matchup where I was playing There's Good in Him, 12 card There Is Good in Him, because that's what the deck evolved into eventually. And he was playing
Uh-huh.
a Sikfa, like it might even have been, it might even not have been Sikfa, it might even been like Verge I think it was Verge. Um,
Okay.
where he had zero ground, and he was just, he was just trying to do damage on space, and I was able to, because I took his battleground, I was able to get to 3 battlegrounds, and
And cap him out.
like just and just like I did every single point of damage that I could find, tracking
Mhm.
the handle, to get the extra 1 drain, and looping it, and every single possible point of damage. I think at one point I like moved Luke to a drain a 3 site or something like that. Like I did something with Luke
Mhm.
where he was not at the docking bay, which was like a big risky play, but it was like this is the only out I have. So yeah, it's like even the impossible even those impossible matchups, like you gotta make them win it.
You got to make them have the answer. You got to make them win it. There's a lot of things that go into it.
Um, so yeah, like I mean, the only other thing, I mean, you work with me on top 8 with Corran and Batmouse. Uh, and we did that. Yeah, we did that one episode of 0-2 with Corran and Batmouse.
Yep.
But so what? How do you remember those projects getting started?
Um so the 0-2 with Corn and Batmouse, that was um hey, we want to do like a kind of Star Wars After Dark,
Hmm.
like a little bit, a little bit more on the nose than like just our normal comedy kind of stuff. Um, and we kind of built that from there. I think we had already been doing top 8 at that point,
No, we
or
hadn't
no,
started top 8
no. Yeah,
yet.
we started with 0-2.
Yeah, we started with
Yeah,
0 and
we
2.
started with 0-2. Yeah, we started with 0-2, and it was just like I really do think that was just like, hey, who are some funny people in Star Wars, and
Mhm.
can we work on a project together?
Yeah.
And it really blossomed from that, and that 0-2 with Corran and Batmouse. Like I agonized over like some of that writing. Like I hadn't written
Mhm.
like comedy in a while. Um, and funny for me is not funny for everybody else, but let's be honest. If I'm not having fun doing it, it doesn't matter if you like it.
You know what I
Um,
always think is
this,
funny is we actually did a rehearsal for that. I've never
uh-huh.
done a rehearsal for a podcast. Uh,
Yeah, absolutely not.
it was fun. It was just like, yeah, it was a lot of work just doing the big, just getting the writing. And then, yeah, like I said, when we started to write the second episode, I just felt like we were being mean to people. And, yeah, it
Yeah,
just sort of didn't work out, but it was, yeah, I think, did Queso help write? And,
Queso was involved.
and JNAP was like in the Slack channel. Um, but,
Yeah,
uh, but yeah, I don't remember. I don't know how much he contributed because he was like the marketing advocate at the time. So I just
yeah.
always
We just
kept
wanted
him
to
in the
like, hey,
loop.
make sure, yeah, make sure that when we do this, if you can get us some more eyes, even one
Mhm.
more set of ears and eyes, we would greatly appreciate it. Kind of
Yeah,
situation.
yeah. And then
And then
for top eight, I mean, I just that was kind of my you know that was kind of my
yeah.
brainchild. I had been listening to a podcast um called Screen Drafts that was a very similar concept of they would do a top 7 list, and one person had 3 of the picks, one person had 4 of the picks, and they had a veto. Each person got a veto. um and then they'd have bigger lists sometimes where people could override the veto, and I was like, that sounds more fun. So let's
Hmm.
do let's do 8, and top 8 because of the top 8, and it
Yeah,
was
we
like
have a
all
top
on
eight
a
cut for tournaments.
yeah, it was like all on a walk. I came up with the idea on a walk at my in-laws house. I think we were supposed that year we were supposed to go to my in-laws for Christmas, and then
Hmm.
there was too much snow, so we ended up going New Year's weekend. And then, yeah, and I was like, well, and I wanted to do a project with Batmouse, and then that's where top 8, which we did a
That's
top
our
8
longest
episode at
running show.
Nationals.
We did do a top eight in the food court of the convention
Yeah,
center
yeah, like
while they're getting ready to announce results.
yeah, and also like I felt like security was kind of eyeing us a little bit.
The security were like wandering by. They wandered by a couple of times. There were a couple of guys having a play fight
Right.
next to us. They were kind of loud.
Yeah, I
Like,
feel like luckily that was the lucky thing, was if anybody was going to get kicked out, it was going to be those guys that were
yeah, for
goofing
sure.
around. Um, but yeah, it was fun. It's always it's you always I always want to record podcasts and stuff at events. You're just so busy over the course of events. Like I can do the little 3 questions, or like do little interviews by just like, walking up to people. But yeah, doing it like a dedicated, like a live episode of a podcast or something, um is always tricky. So I'm
Yeah,
glad
we'd
we were
have to.
able
We
to do it.
I'm glad we were able to squeeze it in. It is a bit of a quicker episode, a much quicker episode for
Yeah,
us
yeah,
than we
it's
normally
17
do.
minutes.
Yeah, I mean, we were bang, bang, bang. We got through that one pretty quick. Um, but I do like the next time we get the opportunity to do one, I kind of want to set aside like time on Friday
Mhm.
night after the tournament where we can like really open a couple of bottles and have a real good episode. Like we'll make that. We will. I feel like the next time we do that, if we do that, we should make that the dedicated. Oh, this is the drinking game episode. I know
Well,
I know that there's a Dodo Beto Watto episode that is very fun.
yeah, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, I don't drink anymore. So,
Oh no.
although, I don't know, that could change depending on, yeah, I mean, I guess, so I don't drink for 2025. That might change
There
in
we go.
2026. But
Well, I also don't want to. I also don't want to break somebody's sobriety.
yeah, no,
Um. So
it's not even that. It's not like a sobriety thing. It's like a healthy choices thing, if that makes sense. Um,
no, I get that.
yeah,
I get that. Then I don't. The only unhealthy choices I want to contribute to are trying to get you to play tractor beams
yeah.
and and if I feel like making food, I definitely want. Hey, look, I am very delicious in my food. I am not pushing the nutritious part. Delicious, not nutritious.
Yeah, I just like, because I just, and I like to put this out there, like, not everyone who drinks, like, even if you drink like habitually and too much to excess, that doesn't mean that it's like because you have some sort of like, you know, disease and chemical dependence. Just like I eat too much McDonald's, it doesn't mean that I'm like, it doesn't mean that I like that, like, I need to go cold turkey. I need to go to McDonald's Anonymous. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
when once I got it out of my head that, that, like, like, I tried to do dry January several years ago, and like, kind of,
Mm-hmm.
it was too much in my head about it. Once I got it out of my head of like, oh man, but if you can't go a month without drinking, then you must be an alcoholic, and then you were never allowed to drink again. Like all this like
Gotcha.
big stuff. Once I got it to like, oh, I mean, regardless of whether I'm addicted, it's probably bad to drink lots of alcohol, and my gut tells me that. Literally, like, my gut is bigger than it used to be. Once I treated it more like a, like stop drinking pop for a month kind of thing, then it was
There you
then
go.
it was easy. And then I also kind of just got over the like, feel like, I got to the point where the hangovers were worse than the drinking. Like, the
Mm.
like I
Yeah, you
like
were not. We're not 21
I'd have
anymore.
to drink I'd have to drink so much in order to get like a decent buzz going, and then the next 3 days I'd be miserable. Now, of course,
Gotcha.
I also feel like crap all the time now that I don't drink, so maybe it wasn't all because of drinking, but but yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm the reason I say that is because I've had my own, like, I used to drink quite a bit.
Mhm.
I don't do that anymore. The only time I do is when I am around all of my Star Wars buddies. Um, and that is why I said, hey, the next time we do this, because it'll be the Star Wars event.
Uh-huh.
Um, like, it would, because that's where it would have to be for me. Like,
Right,
I'm not
right,
gonna
right.
sit here, like, this isn't one we're gonna like record over over a screen and just have a drinking game going. This is definitely like, I always say that, like, hey, look, my wife, my kids are safe at home. I'm tucked away. I'm not driving from this hotel.
Uh-huh.
The worst is gonna happen to me is I'll have to stumble upstairs. Um, but like, I- you know, I when people ask, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go hang out with my buddies. Number one, then I'm gonna be more alcohol than person. Number two, and then and then I will play cards. That is my priority list,
Yeah.
with Star Wars card and events. You know,
Yeah, and I think the other thing with my drinking was, I was, a- and this is gonna sound way worse. This is gonna sound real bad, and it's gonna make me sound like an alcoholic. But I was never a social drinker. I mean, I did drink socially sometimes, but like, I honestly drank, like, even, I mean, there's a couple Star Wars tournaments where I drank a lot. Famously, Atlanta Worlds. Nobody was there, and then I drank a lot because I thought I was just, going to be chilling in my hotel room. And then everyone arrived and started handing me alcohol. So I was already, fully there. And then I went further. And also, the other thing is, I'm used to drinking, or I was used to drinking Crown Royal, which is good. But
Mm-hmm.
like Hayes hands me this $100 bottle of a bourbon that's got like no bite to it at all, and I think it was
Yeah,
like
and
Four Roses or
you don't real
something, and it
and
just
you
yeah,
just
it
don't
snuck up
realize
on
it.
me. Yeah, but generally speaking, like I've like when I go to a part like the big social event of the year for my local friends is the Oscars party, and
Mm-hmm.
there have been a lot of it's always on a Sunday night, so there've been a lot of times where I have to go to work in the morning, so I drink little or none, and I that was never an
Right.
issue of not drinking there. But like when I like to drink is when it's when I'm home alone and I just want to watch anime until I drink some whiskey and drink whiskey and watch anime until I fall asleep. Uh, so that's also where like the I don't have a lot of interest in because honestly, when I'm hanging out with my friends and having fun, then I'm hanging out with my friends and having fun. I'm not, alone with my thoughts.
Yeah. No, I get that. I'm definitely not an alone with my thought drinker. I am very much a social drinker nowadays.
Mm.
Um, but that that is I like how this episode became our drinking decisions episode.
Well,
Um,
that's
but yeah, it's a part of life, and you know, but like I said, that's definitely like an in person, and we'll see how it goes kind of thing.
yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll have to.
I mean, the other thing is it doesn't. Maybe we make this for our drinking buddies in the game. Like, all right, you guys drink on this. We're gonna stay pretty sober on this one, but we're gonna put in all these cues, and you know what? We might even make a bingo card. See if you can hit the bingo on us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That sounds good. Sounds like a plan. All right, so let's go ahead and transition because I'm very hungry.
Yeah,
When
sounds
you
good.
messaged me to record, I was on my way to lunch, and so I had to turn the car around. So I'm very hungry. So let's go ahead and transition into the Pivo questionnaire here. Uh,
Okay.
I'm sure you know this, but this is based on James Lipton's Inside the Actors Studio. It's the questionnaire that I ask all of my guests. Interpret the questions however you want. Some of them don't make sense. Just if I ask you, a lot of them mirror each other. So I ask you for something you like. Don't say anything that's not the thing I don't like. So first question: what is your favorite card?
Ooh. Um, Sando Aqua Monster.
I don't even know what that does.
That is a draw destiny, substitute destiny gets around limitations
Okay.
stuff
Oh,
card.
it's the one that Bring 'Em Before Me sometimes plays.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. What's your least favorite card?
Hmm. Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight.
Ooh. Okay, I need a Y on that.
I mean, for the longest time, that is a $200 $300 card. Um, it's the reason why I play like cards like Abyss and Chasm. I was never like that, like, oh, I'm gonna buy my way to the top kind of thing. I'm going to use everything I can to get around doing everything else. And for me, like Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight, it for me the epitome of rich kid cards.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, and that was never me. I mean, if you got lucky and pulled one, absolutely great. I love you for it. I just unfortunately was not the kid that had like a bunch of money to run around buying packs or buying cards specifically. So
Yeah.
to me, Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight is my least favorite card. The ultra rare card kind of stuff is what I don't love most about card games. I
Mhm,
love the
mhm.
I love that we've created alternate version and like printable versions to like, oh, I can now play this deck because I can just print 6 copies of you know um young
Young
Skywalker.
Skywalker, yeah. Okay. Um, what types of cards stimulate your creativity?
Um really, it's a lot of like the decipher cards that like really stimulate my creativity because I want to go back and like people have stopped trying to break the old cards.
Hmm.
Um, like tractor beams. Nobody like nobody had done anything with tractor beams for a long time, and I'm like, look, I mean, there's decks that have light side decks that have like 3 or 4 retrieval per turn. If I just kill their ship out of space, they can retrieve it and just with 3PO put it back together again. But if I tractor beam you, you just go away. Like you just stop being a pain, a thorn in my paw. Um, so let's just get rid of your space. Let's solve a problem for like the long term.
What types of cards makes you just want to quit the game?
I don't know that there's a card that makes me want to quit the game. Um, resets and stuff like that. Um, when you wipe out like years of creativity and like that kind of makes me want to quit the game. Oh, I what makes me want to quit the game is being forced to play linear Star Wars. And by that I mean like, oh, we're only gonna play mains and toys. Like the meta had, sometimes the meta will shift to being mains and toys only. Um, and I really hate that. Like that makes me want to like stop playing the game.
What is your favorite Star Wars term or phrase?
Hmm. I mean, so Twix is great. That's probably one of the only candy bars that I'll eat. Um, like Twix is fine, but like when you book something, when you book or something, that is probably one of my favorite terms. Like, oh yeah, I like look, I, if I stay on the table, I win the game, but I had to book like 10 cards to do it. That is probably my favorite Star Wars term.
Okay, okay. Which is that is a reference to James Paul Booker top decking a bunch of cards, right?
Yes.
Yeah, cool, cool. He's a fun guy. Um, Talking about earlier, you talked about your local scene having just top players. In 2007, uh, I met up with I regularly met up with Brad Iyer and James Paul Booker when they were two of the best players in the world. I think that was the year that they were both top four in the world. I'm not sure, or maybe it
Mhm.
was a year or two before that. But yeah, very good players. Um, what opponent's deck do you love to see?
Um, that one's actually kind of hard. It depends on what I'm playing, I would say, but I love seeing um I love seeing an off meta deck.
Okay.
Yeah, I love seeing someone play something completely off meta that that I the same reason I love creativity. I love to see creativity from other players.
All right. Um, and then what opponent's deck do you hate to see?
Oh, I hate to see mains and toys. Um, I nothing wrong with mains and toys for if that's your play style, if you like to be aggressive, like. But again, for the same reason that like Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight is my least favorite card, kind of just feel like, oh, I'm just gonna, have the most expensive version of this and, you know, try and push it down your face. So I build to break that as much as possible.
All right. What Star Wars job would you like to try?
Um, oof. Dexter Jetser, he just ran a
Space Niner?
intelligent. he ran a space diner that had like an intelligence network attached to it. Essentially, like he was, like the Maz Kanata, like, oh yeah, I'm running a bar, but I have all the information on everything that you need. So I
Okay.
let's go information broker that has a day job.
Okay. Okay. What Star Wars job would you want to avoid?
I definitely don't want to be like the guy that had to clean out the trash compactors.
All right. And finally, what would you like to see with the future of the game?
Um, just the continued like expanded creativity and like I love an open meta. I love, you know, playing non-linear Star Wars. You don't always have to fight. You don't always have to just here's my big guy, there's your big guy, and go at each other. Um, while that is very thematic and very actual Star Wars for people, like there's a whole large universe of things that we don't do in this game that we probably should do. A
Okay.
lot of expansion for that.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks a lot for coming on. This interview was a long time coming. You're obviously a key player in the community, and we've collaborated on a million billion things. So so I'm glad to finally check your name off the list and add it to the list of every single Star Wars card player ever, uh, which is who I want to. Eventually that's the goal, is to interview every single
There we
Star
go.
Wars card player ever. Um, but yeah, and thanks everyone for listening. Until next time, good luck, have fun, and no reverts.